Listen, we've come to a pretty pass in this country when there are cultural and religious reasons why you do things. Now, I don't mind if those things don't cost money, and they don't cost time, and they don't cost efficiency. And essentially it's a sort of a nodding acceptance or awareness that other people might think a certain way. But when it starts to cost you real money, when you can't do things that you need to do because you're trying to satisfy the outmoded cultural nonsense and the spiritual gibberish of a particular ethnic group in the community, and not of all, by the way, but of their leadership in a particular community, then you've reached a pretty pass. And this nonsense, can I say, for those of you to do with wastewater treatment. Wastewater treatment in this country has got a vexed history for a number of reasons. I remember taking my one and only row on the Wanganui River and watching the contents of the untreated sewage flow by me on a regular basis. In fact, as somebody who was raised in Wanganui, and anybody else who was, and who we avoided the river, in fact, because it literally was an open sewer. All of the sewage went into the Wanganui River. The amazing thing about that also was that the Wanganui River, Josh, is tidal. So you can actually see, if you live in Wanganui, the river flow at certain times of the day up, move from right to left. And it's really quite disconcerting. You go, oh. And so, dead sheep that might come down, or in the old days, sewage, would go past you on a regular basis until eventually it would get to the sea and be taken away. Eventually, there are a number of, and that's one of the reasons why meatworks, in particular, large scouring plants, wool scouring plants, a great deal of industry was built by rivers, so that you simply put your waste product into the river and expected it to be taken out to sea. Well, we've got a little more enlightened about that, but gosh, that happened in my lifetime and not that long ago. Now, so wastewater treatment plants were set up in this country to deal with the fact that we all thought that was dreadful. All of us, 99% of us, 0.9% of us, thought that was dreadful, and we did something about it. And now, if a fully functioning wastewater treatment plant has two actual products that it delivers. The first is treated effluent to the point that it is actually as good as drinking water. Now, that's the standard in a large number of wastewater treatment plants. Now, most of us don't drink water that comes from a wastewater treatment plant because we go, we know where that's come from. But in actual fact, you wouldn't die from it, and it would be just as good as probably what comes out of the pipes in your house. The second is sludge. I don't know if you know that, but the sludge that sinks to the bottom of a wastewater treatment plant, and that stuff is toxic. That stuff could kill you. And eventually, every year or two, no, it's usually every 2 or 5 years, somebody comes and scoops up all the sludge and puts that in a landfill somewhere. So those are the two things. Now, the stuff that goes out, not the sludge, but the stuff that comes out, the majority of stuff that comes out of a wastewater treatment plant's fine. So you can mix that with water and there will be no discernible or environmental consequence of doing so, because it is treated to such a high degree. But in the last, 10 years, cultural concerns of Maori who have a spiritual view that the waters should not mix, and that's one of the reasons they object to irrigation and to electricity, hydroelectricity dams as well. Yes, same argument. Have said, no, you can't do that. You must discharge to land. And so you must put your treated sewage to land. And it's that that's costing the money. And it is costing more and more money as more and more councils give priority to cultural considerations over scientific and environmental ones. It is appalling.